Hello, this is Amber Smith, and I welcome you to the Life Skills Leadership Summit 2024. If you have been with the Life Skills Leadership Summit before, then welcome back. And I know you're going to learn a ton. You are a homeschooling parent who is looking to fine tune your skills. You are looking to grow in relationships, you're looking to grow in life skills, and you're looking to grow in leadership in yourself and in your homeschool child. And for that, I just want to say thank you and congratulations for investing in yourself and in the future of your homeschool. It is so worth it to take that step and dive in to get yourself an education and to just bolster those areas where you can help your children be successful for the future. And so we're just going to spend a little bit of time together in this workshop talking about how we can shape our child's reaction to failure. What does that mean? Well, have you ever experienced failure in your life? Let's talk a little bit about how success is defined. Do you define success as the moment of the win? Or is it all of those incremental steps that leads to that one success? Is it the list of failures and tries that built on those skills to get to that place of success? In this talk, we're going to talk a lot about how we can develop that mindset that says the process to success is paved with a million small failures. How can we help our children have a better relationship with failure? And what does that mean for their future as a successful and confident adult? That's really an important relationship. And so I want to share a little bit about some of the ways that we've helped develop a good relationship with failure in our homeschool kids. Now, I am Amber Smith. I blog at 200 Fingers and Toes, and I share about homeschooling because I am a homeschool mom. I'm a homeschool mother of 10. And so the things that I share are time tested. They have been proved through 20 years of experimenting on my own kids. So what I'm doing is saving you a little bit of time in the experimental stage so you can move to progress faster. And that's what this leadership summit is about, is helping you move forward through the struggles that some of us other parents have experienced and bringing you the tools to help you be successful. So 4 habits to shaping our child's reaction to failure. One of the ways that I help shape our children's reaction to failure is sharing stories with characters who struggle. There are some ways that we do that. Now, our homeschool was a literature-based homeschool, and so we spent most of our homeschooling time sharing stories. The majority of our subjects were covered in literature books, and so we sat together and read. If we wanted to talk about social studies, if we wanted to talk about history, those were generally addressed in a literature book. And so we read somewhere between 60 and 100 books every year in our school year together as a family in our read aloud time. A rich and beautiful time. But if you're reading aloud to your children, that you have a captive audience to bring stories to them, and you can use those stories to address things that you want to work in your child's character, maybe struggles you're seeing right now. One of the places that we have taken advantage of great stories is sharing about characters who struggle. I would love for you to think about your favorite books right now. What's your favorite story? If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, think of Frodo and Sam and the failures and the times when they gave up and the choices that they made. I loved the story of Caddy Woodlawn, and Caddy Woodlawn made so many terrible choices for herself along the way. Yes, she was brave and fierce, but also she got herself in a lot of trouble. We can start to develop an understanding about failure from great stories with characters who redeem themselves throughout the length of the tale. Choose stories with characters who fail. Be intentional. I will share a book list of stories from picture books up to maybe elementary, high school readers that have great characters who have failed along the way. Picture books are a great way to share with our younger children who maybe are expressing really strong feelings about not doing well. I know I've had parents ask me, like, my child is a perfectionist and they're really frustrated with not doing well in school. This is an area where we can address failure. Maybe it's not that they're a perfectionist, but they're afraid to do things badly. There's a big difference. And if we can identify a child who's fearing to do things badly and show them that doing things badly is the only way to begin something new, then we can help alleviate some of those fears and help them move into progress without frustration. So it's really important to help model that progress of beginning, trial, error, overcoming, and success. It's a lengthy story, not a one-stop progress. And so sharing stories about characters who struggle is a great way to help our children understand that struggle is a part of the whole experience. We can also do this through sharing stories of our own failure. So when we want to help our teams become resilient, we want to share stories of failure, we can begin by sharing our own struggles. If your child is struggling maybe with being left out of a game, maybe they're experiencing frustration with their siblings, or they've been falsely blamed, you have a wealth of stories that you carry in your heart, and they are made for these moments of relational deep understanding between you and your child. When your child expresses a hurt, yeah, you can tell them it's going to be okay. Yeah, you can tell them that's not true. Maybe they're perceiving it wrong. But another step to building relationship is sharing your stories of hurt, your stories of frustration or disappointment, and helping them see that those things can be related through your story and your time and how you overcame or how you felt. And that helps them share with you where they're feeling right now, and helps them to understand that, yes, we all experience these disappointments. We all experience frustration and struggle. And it's part of building relationships and overcoming and developing that character that comes back to an experience with understanding and with a plan to move forward. And so you can help them by sharing your own stories of struggle and failure. Now, another way that we can help our child through story is that we can, I'm going to get back to my notes. We can share stories and build empathy with one another. So we can model empathy through stories. We can also model empathy through living out these stories. There's a quote from Mr. Rogers that says, when the world is being difficult, look for helpers. And I think it's really important to not only look for helpers, but also become helpers in your everyday world. If you're serving in community, if you're serving in a church body, look for ways that you can help people overcome their difficulties and trials. Look for ways that you can be near to those who struggle with compassion and empathy and grace. That shows your child actions towards how we behave to somebody who's struggling. That also helps set an inner belief that people who struggle are worthy of our time, attention, and care. This is an internal value that we are building in the core of their belief system. And those are the things we want to create as their small children, so that when they walk out their values, they walk out those same truths in their adult life. So another way that we have helped our children overcome and shape their reaction to failure is that we have allowed our children to fail. I know that seems counterintuitive. I had a talk that was called Overcoming the 4.0 Mindset. I had seen and observed, especially in the early homeschool world, this drive to show ourselves as acceptable, to show the homeschooling community as accelerating in our education and worthy of being recognized as equal in value to kids in the public school. I think that the record shows homeschoolers are doing a great job educationally, but I do see a hesitancy to reach out and do things where we know we are going to do badly. And I think it's very important to give our children an opportunity to fail. Now, if you think about the 4.0 mindset, are you going to take a class that's deeply challenging if you want to hold on to this 4.0? You're probably not. I know when I went to college for my graphic degree, my degree in graphic design, I took a composition class. Loved it. It was great. We just wrote stories. Writing is my jam. I really enjoy writing. And so I really loved the class. So I thought, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take composition 2 and fill my English credit. Well, when I got to the class, the gentleman who was teaching was a different teacher. He had a very different outlook for how this class was going to go. He used words that were new to my vocabulary, like writing papers, juxtaposing two different papers and showing and proving how they were similar or dissimilar. It was a challenging class. And the more he shared about how hard he was going to get us to work, I started to consider whether I wanted to take this class or not. After all, I did want to maintain Dean's List. And so I considered momentarily dropping the class because I didn't know if it was going to be worth it to me. So after some deliberation and thinking about it, I decided that I really wanted to be challenged and I wanted to prove that I could do a good job. And I ended up taking the class and staying in it and getting a really good grade. But you know what? I would not have felt so great about the grade that I got if I hadn't known how much that class was going to ask of me in the beginning. So knowing that maybe we're taking on a workload that is above what our abilities are gives us a chance, A, to be stretched, but also we have an opportunity to do poorly. So how can we do that in a safe way with our homeschooler? Well, we can have them take elective classes uncredited. We don't have to grade every bit of work our child does. So in allowing our child to fail, we can find ways to give them ungraded work. We can maybe give some assignments for creative writing. If you have a child who loves writing, instead of grading every paper, why don't we give them some creative writing assignments that are just for expression alone? So looking for ways that you can let your child do work without necessarily putting a grade value on it. There's lots of areas where we can build up to the final product of a report without having to take everything apart. So looking for opportunities to give them ungraded work, maybe to try out something new or to test a different topic, maybe introduce a new topic, or maybe try something they haven't tried before. So challenge them. You can also give them some time to pursue their personal interests. So maybe allowing them to take some classes in an area that they have expressed interest in. And just as an introduction, let them maybe take a coding class if they're interested in computers. Like again, I had a daughter who was interested in writing, so we signed her up for the NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writers Month. And she took that challenge and wrote a novel in the month of November. So you can help them pursue things that maybe are a personal interest and let them try, and maybe they won't do great, but they'll discover things they love in the process. And I think sometimes just giving them an opportunity to taste and see if it's something they like and then set it aside is a great way that we can help our homeschooler develop some really rounded interests, and also know that just because they weren't really successful at something doesn't equate with failure. It just means maybe that was not an area of interest that they want to pursue further. So also, unit studies are a great way to explore new topics in a non-committal way. So say your child is looking at high school and you want to see maybe what kinds of classes they're going to take for core credits. Maybe you want to do some unit studies in the middle school, late middle school years to kind of test out the waters and see what kind of histories we want to start in. Where can we spark their interest and then follow that further? So doing a unit study is a great way to just do a short study and not commit to a long, in-depth, detailed work. So giving them a chance to taste and see what they like, and also maybe find out what they're not doing well in. That doesn't mean we quit those things or don't do them, but it gives us an opportunity to say maybe we're going to pull back and do some remedial work in that area and bolster their skills. So, again, just understanding that we're developing a mindset towards mastery. And that brings me to the third point, developing a mastery mindset. What does that mean? People used to ask me what I did for grades in my homeschool. It may be a little controversial, but I did not grade work in our homeschool. Generally, I never provided grades. Sometimes my kids wanted a grade, so I would humor them, but we were working towards mastery in our homeschool. Now, that's a little bit different, and it may take a refocus for you to understand how to use that in your homeschool. But developing a mastery mindset was a few things. First of all, developing a lifestyle of learning. Learning is something we do because that's how we pursue knowledge. We're always learning. As a parent, I'm modeling a life of learning. I'm constantly taking classes, reading ahead, reading for my own interest, and sharing the things that I'm pursuing with my children and asking them about their personal interests as well. So just cultivating a lifestyle of learning, that learning is something we do because we have curious minds and we want to grow and we want to understand new topics, is just a way of living. Also, mastery mindset means focusing on clear objectives. So when we would do a writing assignment, if that writing assignment maybe was on learning subjects and pronouns, I would focus on the objective of that assignment. Now, if the objective of that assignment was a specific learning outcome, then I'm not going to use that as a spelling test. Now, I may on a final work, but everything leading up to understanding the objective, I'm not going to nitpick every area of that paper. So when I'm talking about pursuing mastery, I'm trying to always keep the main objective of the assignment in the forefront of our work. So making the main thing in that assignment. So just like I was talking about creative writing, is this child writing a paper to satisfy X? I'm going to make sure that they've satisfied that component. Now, if that's spelling everything correctly with punctuation and capital letters, if they're at that level, then that's what I'm going to check for. If it's bringing in facts from outside and doing research, that's what I'm going to be looking for. If it is maybe a different kind of expression, maybe it's citing their sources as they get to high school, then that's the topic that I'm going to be looking and grading for. So when I'm looking for mastery, I'm looking for them to show a mastery of the topic that is central that we're working on in that assignment. That alleviates a lot of stress and anxiety for our kids. That alleviates a lot of correction and conflict for me as the homeschooling parent. Keeping the main thing helps us keep our school day moving forward with motion and progress. And so we really want to help always be looking at what is the thing that we're trying to accomplish with this assignment, and then helping us master that really, really well, and maybe letting all the peripheral things fall to the side. I'll share, my son was super slow at math. It was like to the point of frustration. It was grinding our homeschool day to a halt at times. So I realized it was actually his handwriting that was taking the longest portion of time in math. And so I started having him dictate his math answers to me, and I just wrote them down. There's a part of me as a parent who was like, am I cheating? Am I not doing the right thing? Because math is, he should be doing it all. And I realized as I stepped back, the main point was him to understand how to get the answers to the questions. It was not his handwriting book, and he in fact had a handwriting book. And so maybe I added some numbers pages and did some speed tests to increase our speed. I encouraged him to write badly for a period of time. Just write sloppy and fast, and we'll challenge ourselves to see how well you do. But I didn't make math about handwriting and double his frustration. Instead, I made sure to focus on the main topic, which was answering the questions well. And actually, the child is very mathematically intuitive. So he did a great job in his math. But because he was able to answer orally, it sped our progress along exponentially. And honestly, he probably wouldn't have finished that year's school book had we not made that change. And so it just alleviated an issue that really was secondary to the main focus. And so that mastery mindset, again, is looking at what are we trying to accomplish and how can we get closer to that goal without frustration. The fourth way we can really help our children develop a mindset towards failure is that we can set and evaluate goals. We don't actually know if we're making progress unless we have some measurable goals that we can come back to and look at. I know that sounds frustrating, and I know I am not a huge goal writer, but every assignment we have has an objective. If you look at a school book, when my kids ask me, what do? I constantly tell them, look at the box. That little box at the top of the page tells you the objective of the assignment. As a homeschooling parent, I want to make sure I have a box that I'm looking at that helps me know if I'm meeting my objectives. For my students, I want to sit down at the beginning of the year and create a list of objectives that we want to accomplish this school year together. So I'm going to create some clear learning goals for my students. I'm going to know why we're doing what we're doing as we begin to learn it. I set down a goal sheet. I have a course that's called 30 Days to Homeschool Renewal. And in there, I have a set of accountability sheets. One of my accountability sheets is a goals for my students. And we just sit down and write down a few of the things that we want to accomplish. Maybe I look at last year and see some deficits that we want to do better at. Maybe we're working on a specific thing. Maybe I want them to learn their times tables. If I don't write that down and realize that's what we're working on this year, then I'm not sure if I can come back and say, oh, hey, we've accomplished some serious goals this year. So I encourage you to create clear learning goals for your family so you know what you're doing and how much progress you've made. Also, I want you to set times to regularly check in with your students. When I work with homeschooling parents and set up a plan for the year, we usually set a timer for 6 weeks in their phone. And it's just a little note to go back and check on your goals sheet with your child and sit down and just look over what you're working on this school year. It helps you get refocused, it helps you be reminded, and maybe helps you just get back on course as well. And then I want you to make regular changes to help your students make progress. So I want you to help them understand how to fail forward. Not doing badly is not the end of progress. And so we want to understand that not doing things well is part of the progress along the way. I have a son right now who is convinced he wants to play football. And so we were trying to kind of help him understand some of the things he's going to need to do if he wants to show dedication to starting this sport. One of the suggestions that we have worked with our older sons with sports is jumping rope, because we do not have fast kids. I am not fast. And so one of the ways they can improve their speed is by jumping rope. But my son said, I'm just not good at jumping rope. I'm really bad at it. And I just stepped back and said, you have never done it before, so you should be really bad at it. Like, that's how it starts. And I know it seems really simple, but I think that's a thing we need to express to our children very often, that everybody starts doing things poorly in the beginning, and the natural progress is to do slightly better, then a little bit better. And incremental growth is creditable growth. So instead of looking for stellar progress, let's also honor the incremental work and the development to get to a stage where we're better than we were before. So I just really want to encourage you, these 4 things that will help you shape your child's reaction to failure. Going back, they're sharing stories about characters who struggle, including yourself and your own struggles. Building ways to understand empathy by seeing people, real people who struggle in life, and how we respond to them by giving, by sharing, by helping, by leading. Allowing our children to fail through maybe doing ungraded work, allowing them creative expression, sharing their personal pursuits and maybe trying on some things through unit studies or shorter studies just to test out some other topics. And then developing a mastery mindset. So making the main thing, and not micromanaging topics so that our children experience more frustration than necessary. And then I want you to set and evaluate goals in your homeschool. You won't understand how much progress you have made unless you set clear, measurable, and goals that you can check back in on and see how you're doing. In doing these 4 things, you're going to help develop resilience in your homeschool child. You're going to help insulate them from the problems that come through experiencing failure. Failure is a natural part of the learning process. Failure is a story that is threaded through the entire understanding of the human story. If you are a Christian person and you read the Bible, a majority of the stories that we read in our devotional time are filled with failings, are filled with shortcomings. But we see the power of turning and overcoming. We see the power of prayer. We see the power of faith. And we see the power of community coming together and overcoming challenges. And so I want to encourage you, as you're homeschooling your family, as you're developing these core values in their lives, help them to see failure as a natural part of the learning process, and that it actually is building towards understanding. So I hope you're encouraged. I want you to reflect on your own feelings of failure and how you respond. And maybe some of this talk resonated with you. I do not like doing things badly. And I'm sure you feel the same way. And a lot of the way that we feel about failure is how we then teach and model to our children. And so if you felt some of these things that resonate with you, I encourage you to apply some of what you've learned to your own life and challenge your belief on failure, and maybe step out and do some things badly, just to give yourself a chance to feel some empathy towards those who maybe aren't doing as well, and give yourself a challenge and give yourself some grace and empathy as well. Share your story with your kids about your challenge and struggle, and let them see that, you know what, even as adults, we do hard things, and be encouraged. So I look forward to sharing with you some more in my next workshop. We are going to be talking about struggle some more. And so we're going to be talking about perfection. We're going to be sharing in the next workshop raising independent learners. And so we're going to share some ideas that I have used to help my kids grow in independence and develop the tools to help them be successful learners in the high school years. So I really am looking forward to sharing with you about that. I am Amber Smith, and you can find me at 200fingersandtoes.com, where I blog to help homeschooling families create their best homeschool year. I have some resources on the website that you can check out. And if you go to the swag bag, I will have the book list of books that have characters who struggle for your children. So I want you to find some great stories to share with them and work through these topics that we shared today. So you have a blessed day, and I thank you for joining us.